Hey everyone, we need to talk about a pretty serious warning that just came out from Microsoft. We're looking at a flaw in their SQL Server software that could, and this is a big deal, basically hand an attacker the master key to your entire database. So yeah, let's get right into it.
So let me ask you this. Could an attacker get a master key to your company's data? It's a scary thought, right? But that's exactly what's on the table here. We're talking about a vulnerability that could hand over the keys to your entire database kingdom.
All right, so let's break this down. We're looking at a really critical server flaw. Microsoft has put out some urgent patches for what they're calling a significant vulnerability in its SQL Server software. And honestly, this is one of those times where paying attention is, well, not really optional.
Okay, so this all came to light on January 13th, 2026. That's when the security update dropped. The official term for this thing is a remote elevation of privilege vulnerability. Now, I know that's a bit of a mouthful, a very technical term, but the idea behind it is super important. So let's unpack what it actually means.
So, to really get into the nitty-gritty, we need to talk about its official name. In the security world, it's being tracked as CVE-2026-20803.
All right, looking at the numbers here, we can really see how this stacks up. The CVSS score, which is kind of like a report card for vulnerabilities, is a 7.2 out of 10. That puts it right in the important category. And see that attack vector network? That's huge. It means an attacker doesn't even need to be in the building. They can do this from anywhere, over the network.
So that phrase we mentioned before, privilege escalation, what is that? Well, in the simplest terms, it means an attacker who already has a little bit of access, maybe just a basic user account, can exploit this flaw to give themselves a massive promotion. All of a sudden, they become a super admin with all the power that comes with it.
And this is the perfect way to think about it. Imagine a new employee gets a key card, right? It only opens the main entrance. But because of this bug, they can trick the system into turning their basic key card into a master key, a key that opens every single door in the building, the server room, the CEO's office, you name it, they're in. So, who needs to be on high alert right now? Well, this flaw hits some very popular, very recent versions. We're talking SQL Server 2022 and even the new SQL Server 2025. If your organization is running either of those, then yeah, you're going to want to pay very close attention.
Okay, so we've covered the technical side of things, but let's pivot to what really matters for any business, the real-world risk. What is the actual potential damage here? What can an attacker do with this kind of access?
And this is really the million-dollar question for any IT pro or business leader out there, right? It's not about the code itself, it's about what that broken code allows someone to do. So let's say they've exploited it. What happens next? What can they do with that shiny new master key? And the answer is, well, it's pretty bad. The consequences here are severe. They could get such deep access to the system that they can literally dump the server's memory. And just think about what's in there. We're talking sensitive information, maybe even data you thought was safely encrypted. And here's the real kicker. They could potentially pull out stored database credentials, usernames, and passwords. Game over.
Now, to be fair and give the full picture, Microsoft's official assessment is that this is less likely to be exploited. What that usually means is that it's not a simple point-and-click kind of attack. It probably requires some very specific conditions to be met, so we might not see this being used by every hacker on the street tomorrow.
But, and this is a really, really big but, less likely does not mean never. A motivated, skilled attacker, you bet they could figure this out. And you have to remember, for any business, even a low probability risk is still a critical risk if the damage is high enough. And the damage here is definitely high.
Okay, enough of the scary stuff. Let's talk about solutions. How do we fix this? Here's what you need to do right now to get your SQL servers secured. The good news is the process is pretty straightforward. It's a three-step dance. Step 1, you got to know what you're working with. Figure out exactly which SQL Server version you're running. Step 2, apply the right update. You have to install the specific patch for your version. And step 3, which is just good security hygiene anyway, lock down who has admin access. The fewer people with master keys, the better.
And for all the tech folks listening, here are the details you're going to need. If you're on SQL Server 2022, you're looking for Cumulative Update 22, CU22 for short, or a specific GDR build, which stands for General Distribution Release. If you're on SQL Server 2025, you need to grab the January GDR update. Make sure you get these exact build numbers. It's critical for getting the right fix in place.
So patching is obviously the immediate fire you need to put out. It's the most important first step. But let's zoom out for a second. Because every time something like this happens, there's a bigger lesson to be learned about our overall cybersecurity posture.
Yeah, this quote really nails it. A modern security strategy is all about prioritization. Any system that's facing the public internet, or any server that's holding your crown jewels, your most sensitive data, that has to be number one in your patching list every single time, because that's exactly where the bad guys are going to go first.
And that really brings us to the final takeaway here. Look, getting this one patch applied is absolutely crucial, but at the end of the day, it's just one flaw. This whole incident is a wake-up call. It's a chance to ask that bigger question. Your patch is on? Great. But is your security strategy actually ready for the next master key threat? Because you know there's always another one coming. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.